Mr. Speaker, colleagues of the government side, those of the opposition, I am aware, Mr. Speaker, from my own intelligence gathering that the Avenue AFC section across there intended two things to target me this afternoon: heckled me out or walk out. They intended, from my own intelligence, look, it's written here. I have it written before the exit, it's here. So my intelligence gathering must be commended, Mr. Speaker, and I'm happy this afternoon that it is really a demonstration from the opposition side that the powerhouses on this side will be the powerhouses, and they will have to run continually for the remaining of this debate. Mr. Speaker, I listened all day to what the members on the opposition side said during this budget debate. I listened all day. And guess which words came to mind? I will use the words of Lord Intruder of Trinidad and Tobago in 1953, when he said in that beautiful Calypsonian song that says, back to back, belly to belly, I don't give a damn, I done dead already. The opposition, Jumbie Jamboree, all morning, that's what we heard from the opposition side, Mr. Speaker. Jumbie Jamboree. And they come here today pretending to you, to all the people of this country, that they mean well and that they mean business. Such a bankrupt, irrelevant opposition trying to foist on the people of Guyana some goodness about themselves. And this, we must tear down all of the mass behind these people called the opposition. Mr. Speaker, we must take off the mask. I heard this afternoon, well, maybe I should start from what I heard this morning, the pink slip. I don't know if it was a showing of his slip or if he meant the pink slip that we giving, have the household sign in the COVID cash grant relief. But the pink slip, Mr. Speaker, which is being used for the COVID cash grant relief, is a slip that we are proud to be associated with in the People's Progressive Party Civic, because it represents the second phase of a program that seeks to bring relief to the simple man and woman, to every household in this country, and we intend to honor the pink slip. Just like we gave out the first phase, and every Guyanese, whether you go to Region 1, wherever you go, they are happy. And they know it is the best the government can do, given the circumstances and what we have as our resources available to us, financial resources. And you should hear right across Guyana the expressions of happiness. And Mr. Speaker, we will continue to make our people happy right across this country during our first term, second term, third term, fourth term, fifth term in government. Because it represents who we are as a party, who we are as a government who is always concerned about the welfare of the people. And then they know that the lies or the misrepresentations will not pass any one of us in this house. When the honorable member Christopher Jones stood up just now to say that ministers take home $1.2 million a month. Absolutely untrue. Absolutely untrue. No minister of this government, with the exception of the AG and the Prime Minister, takes home $1.2 million. None. And we are not the government of the APNU AFC that carried up this salary when they got into government. We have not taken a single increase in salaries as a government. So they can't compare us with them. And therefore, we need to set the record straight on that matter. And Mr. Speaker, in our manifesto, and I have it here, the electronic version on my phone, we, in our manifesto, spoke to several promises, one of which was salary increase for public servants. We never attached a percentage to those increases. So when the honorable member Christopher Jones stood there this afternoon suggesting and misrepresent rather to this nation that the PPP manifesto promised 50% increase in salary, again, it's another lie. It's another lie. And Mr. Speaker, as I go along this afternoon, you will hear me speak to what our plans are in this government and the budget of 2021 and what it means for the people of this country. Mr. Speaker, my contribution here this afternoon, of course, I couldn't continue without thanking the Honorable Dr. Ashley Singh, Senior Minister within the Office of the President, responsible for finance, for his budget presentation and for taking us through a program for development and a program of action that will see people's lives get better in 2021 all across this country. Mr. Speaker, it is a transformative budget. Mr. Speaker, we, as His Excellency in his inaugural message to us, said that as a nation, to us and the nation, the budget was framed to reflect the unprecedented juncture in our nation's history on which we stand. We stand together, he said, I quote, on the cusp of what can be a new economic era of prosperity in which all will share now and from which future generations will benefit. Of what can be a new economic era of prosperity, this note of caution was struck by President Ali as he warned that we must not fool ourselves that this new economic era will happen without our collective effort. Mr. Speaker, His Excellency also admonished the Honorable House to recognize and embrace the ominous realization that there has never been a greater moment when we as Guyanese need to stand as one and to secure the benefits of our natural resources and to protect our sovereignty, the right to make decisions in our national interests and our territorial integrity. Sadly, however, again, I must lament that the honorable members of Parliament representing the government, the governing party, this is the PPP Civic, were the only ones in this hollow chambers to stand shoulder to shoulder with the president as he so eloquently articulated the transformational agenda for our first term in office. We were the only ones here, Mr. Speaker, because those elected to attend the people's business for development in sync with the government, those in the opposition benches ate and then went on the road. They were outside doing perhaps what they're best known for, protesting, heckling, squabbling, and of course, trying to obfuscate and to obfuscate and derelicting their sacred duty of service to the people of Guyana. Mr. Speaker, regardless of our moment in history, regardless of the historic nature of the occasion, regardless of the expectations of the working class people of this country, the opposition seems hell-bent in its true characteristic form on hell-raising just for the sake of it in yet another spurious attempt to subvert democracy without the appetite for the lazy, vacuous retort to racism and race baiting. And Mr. Speaker, nothing upsets me most than this kind of behavior from the opposition. The only thing can be analyzed by the opposition. Any subject, any given subject from rain to romance, it has ethnicity, it has race. It's nothing of substance, nothing that contributes to intellectual stability, nothing that will be able to say that it could be another shade or some other variable of a particular subject. That it's totally upsetting, absolutely. And we in this country must let this opposition know that we will take away the last card they have, which is the card of racism, because the people of this country want us as one and want us to unite now. They must not get away with it, absolutely not. And so the only thing they can come here with, everything is through the eyes of racism and race and ethnicity. We heard the Honorable Member Amanza is here this morning. Mr. Speaker, they're all brazen political skullduggery and the anti-democratic techniques which raised their ugly heads last March to August in this country must be made to crawl back under the rocks and allow this country to finally rise above the petty, visionless, and finally fulfill her true destiny. Mr. Speaker, the budget 2021, which provides a clear path to recovery, economic dynamism, and resilience, will do just that. This budget will lay new foundations of resilience in our neighborhoods and communities across this country, block by block and door to door, empowering and transforming the lives of Guyanese from Buxton to Berbice, from Lilindale to Linden, and from Lusignan to Cato, to eschew the opposition's divisive tactics, to confront their lazy dereliction, and to resist all attempts of their unpatriotic derailment of our decade-old march to fulfill our destiny. Mr. Speaker, our senior minister in the office of the president with responsibility for finance has laid the largest, boldest, and most transformative budget to date at a whooping $383.1 billion, fully financed without any new taxes. Dr. Ashley Singh so aptly reminded this honorable House, Mr. Speaker, that the PPPC government has chartered a course outlined in our manifesto and elaborated by His Excellency the President that once fulfilled will see us seizing those opportunities and will guide us to a destiny of which our foreparents have dreamt for generations. He hastened to caution, however, Mr. Speaker, that the task will not be easy, but neither it is impossible. One thing is for sure, and seek, one thing is for sure, and seek helplessly to derail the unprecedented transformation coming to this country and to the homes and lives of all Guyanese. But let it be clear that the shenanigans and mechanisms of the now irrelevant APNU, AFC, PNC will never again be allowed to stymie the progress of national unity and nation building, to jeopardize the coming prosperity of Guyanese, and to wreak havoc on their own nation in their cowardly, seditious attempt to subvert our democracy and keep their big lies alive, in their selfish, egotistical quest to try to resuscitate their political monsters of the dark days of yesteryear. Mr. Speaker, the PNC must understand that it is now a relic, that it is an ideology of division and separation, is no longer a viable option of profitable pursuit. It must smell its own obnoxious flatulence, Mr. Speaker, and quickly come to grips with the reality that this is a new Guyana beckoning, that this generation will not tolerate this type of behavior. Mr. Speaker, as my responsibility for public information and communication, I must say that in this beautiful country of ours, through the astute leadership of the Prime Minister and team and I, we've already been at the wheel for the past 6 months with much progress to clean up the melancholic mess of the last 5 years of the APNU AFC. We have already successfully installed new and more competent boards at state agencies, and which includes GNBA, GNPL, National Communications Network, the Guyana National Newspapers Limited, and we are successfully installed management teams to take us forward and to make advancement in these entities. We've commenced building robust systems, both locally and internationally, to coordinate the information and communication two-way flow between the government and the citizenry, to ensure that the people are aware of government's policies, programs, projects, and how they can play a role and benefit. We have been hard at work directing public concerns appropriately to the government with regards to policy implementation, while at the same time channeling threats designed to upset the tranquility, stability, and security of the state. We have been working to improve the state of affairs across the media spectrum with regards to the adherence to universal principles of ethics and responsibility, the quality and accuracy of information, and the swift evolution to more cutting edge practices and platforms. We have also, Mr. Speaker, configured a robust integrated network for competencies, generating programs and strategies to manage and build the image of the government and the country through a revamped state media apparatus, which is in progress. Our government information department, along with other units, to be able to achieve this. Through the regional international media network, we are establishing partnerships that will allow for the effective marketing of Guyana and its products while showcasing the vast opportunities in the new economic frontiers expected to build our new multi-dimensional economy. Mr. Speaker, the Public Affairs Secretariat has already designed new integrated communication program as well, and initiatives to counteract the harmful race baiting tactics of the opposition with a view of fostering national unity in our diversity. Following the seditious machinations of the APNU AFC coalition, Mr. Speaker, to prevent the March 2020 democratic return of the People's Progressive Party civic government, and over the past 6 months since the will of the people prevailed, we have painstakingly repairing the broken stakeholders' relations among faith-based organizations and civil society with a view of quickly rekindling the participatory approach to governance characteristic rather of previous PPPC administrations. Mr. Speaker, quite unlike the aloof, hierarchical, and classist APNU AFC coalition, the Office of the Prime Minister and my Secretariat have been out and about among the people with the rest of the government. His Excellency President Dr. Irfan Ali has returned the coalition's aloofness and arrogance on its head.
Honorable Minister, you will need an extension to conclude.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to ask for 5 minutes extension for my colleague to conclude.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. You may continue towards your conclusion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. So I may continue with stating that we have acquired state-of-the-art virtual property, including equipment and domains and content sharing platforms to reach Guyanese audiences wherever in the world they might be, because this year, Mr. Speaker, the transformation of our beloved country begins, and all progressive Guyanese must be involved. We all must be consumed. Mr. Speaker, because of time, I would not be able to go as deep as I would like into many of the things that we have been doing in this government and in the area I'm responsible for. But I also want to say that the state media, will be working very hard to make sure that we have a state media that can provide the needs to our citizens in terms of providing information and communicating to our populace in general.
Honorable Minister, let me just correct myself. You started at 5:37. Your 30 minutes is 6:07. So you do have some time.
Thank you. I'm happy to know that. Yes. Our strategy approaches, Mr. Speaker, will advance the evidence of government policies, build relationships with our key target groups and stakeholders, engage with other civil society organizations, and communicate government's work using all the platforms. Mr. Speaker, in this regard, on national development projects and programs, national events, the work of civil society, local government, security, education, culture, business, youth, innovation, sports, community transformation, national unity and patriotism, among a myriad of other areas, will now form part of the tapestry of our work for nation building. The Public Affairs Secretary will leave no stone unturned in helping to bolster the image of our country on the international stage, in undergirding the development agenda of the government and enabling free and open discourse with the people, while championing national and community achievements to inspire and lend impetus to the transformative momentum of the People's Progressive Party civic government. Our support and services will span the entire government and spectrum and be available to access to all. Mr. Speaker, Budget 2021 offers a transformative path for Guyana and all its citizens. Like the rest of the country that have been inspired and energized by the positive prospects of significant renewal, growth, and transformation in Budget 2021, members of the opposition in this honorable House could somersault from their folly and join the rest of us on this path. They could still choose at this very moment, Mr. Speaker, or perhaps at the end of these debates, to turn about from their reckless abandonment of this country and support our efforts to unite this nation in common purpose, that of building a path to recovery, economic dynamism, and resilience. I will not be holding my breath to see that happen, perhaps, and Mr. Speaker, but rather I will take comfort in the groundswell of support coming in from all the corners of this country as the Guyanese people continue to overwhelmingly support progress and a government that truly cares and truly cares about their welfare. Mr. Speaker, we have had so much said about the budget, not only by us on this side and by those on the other side, which of course is nothing much to go by if you listen to them all over there. But the citizens of this country have all been talking about Budget 2021 and what it means for them. Simple, ordinary man and woman. They've all been talking about the Budget 2021, what it means. Certainly a lot for their lives, their family, a lot and enough to take them a step forward into their own development. And Mr. Speaker, this is just a sample. This is just a sample. If we look across the media and social media in particular, you will see the views reflected there in the dozens, in the hundreds perhaps. And I want to say that this is by our own design. We designed this budget, we designed the program for people, and we designed it for people, and therefore we expect them to understand and to be comforted and to be supportive of this program. And so it is not just a budget that came to being and in a way and fashion that the opposition would like to suggest nobody had an input except the few of us here. Nobody else had an input in this budget. Many of these individuals I've just highlighted here, and others, stakeholders, civil society, they had an opportunity to make an input into Budget 2021. So when the praises on the budget, and I saw on the social media just a short while ago, a program by one of these NGO, the AmSham, or one of these organizations, talking about Budget 2021. And I'm sure they would be identifying with all the good things, the measures in this budget to be able to tell us that we have made a good attempt to bring a program for 2021 that will improve their lives, to improve business, to make people happier. You know, Mr. Speaker, if you really examine the opposition and all that they've been saying, and given the fact that they have almost been forcefully removed from government, almost forcefully, their behavior is common, the characteristics of bitter people. What are those characteristics? Generally, the characteristics would be reflective of their desire to make someone else suffer. All right? A desire to make someone else suffer. Full of vindictiveness. They wade rather in self-pity. They are looking for a fight. They have a sociopathic pride. Sociopathic pride. They are drowning in animosity and resentment. Those characteristics, don't they aptly fit those on that side? Aptly so. Aptly. And Mr. Speaker, we have to understand this country has had too much of the bitterness, too much of this type of behavior,
Mr. Speaker,
too much of the venom.
Mr. Speaker,
Honorable Deputy.
I stand on a point of order. The honorable member is on order number 45-6, I think, where he is imputing my character. Thank you.
Honorable Minister, continue. Just be careful with respect to those on that side, the honorable
Thank-
members on that side, and if you want to say
Thank,
all, I think the deputy leader is making an observation.
thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Schuman, the honorable member, is exempted from that. He's not part of that group, and he has never been one of those persons I described just now. And so, Mr. Speaker, so we have a good opportunity to bring this country together, to stop seeing everything through the eyes of race. As we have seen so far from the opposition at New AFC, every comment has to do with race and ethnicity. And you know what is really, really worrying as well? Is that when they were in government, they did nothing. Nothing for some of the people who they try to make claim as though they have transport for a certain set of people in this country. They did nothing for them. It was all about a clique, a small group who took government money and buy bracelets, bought brooches, beds, and all the other things we've heard about. My honorable colleague Joseph Hamilton spoke about it this morning. And they went on a journey to grab and to hustle. And that's why they're out of government. And they don't even recognize it. They don't even recognize it. The hustle is over. So, Mr. Speaker, it is for us in this House to make Guyana work for all. And I say to you that we on this side are committed to making Guyana work for all of us by ensuring that the goods and services, the resources, those allocated in the budget of 2021, those that will come in the future, are for every single Guyanese boy, woman, child, family. And so, with those few words, Mr. Speaker, I would like to give my full support to Budget 2021 and to say that we are on a good journey to prosperity. Thank you very much.